Until I attain, oh, yeah. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I go for refuge in all the Buddhas. I go for refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas cultivated the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. May all other sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Sure, sure.
So, Pete and I are going to continue on Wednesday nights. Bernie's welcome to join us, and Curtis is welcome to join us, but we've both agreed that we'd like to continue with this Mahamudra study. So this is where we are tonight. So we're on page in the book. We're on page 386, and last time, which was the 28th of January, we discussed up to verse number 10 in this particular group. So here it says what we're looking at is item number 6, called the 20 Vajra teachings that are a compilation of the essential points specifically concerning view, conduct, and meditation. So this is to put what we're studying into context. So, Pete, how about if you read from the book? Do you have a copy of Kempo's book?
I think I have it somewhere. I also have Kempo Sultram's commentary.
Well, this is Sultram's.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got that because that's what Bernie had been talking from.
oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'll let you look up the references. I'm just kind of tuning in.
Well, do you have the? You've got the book.
Inside the book? I think I do. Let me go take a look.
I mean, I'm talking about this one. You have this book.
Oh, of course, I have that. Yeah, yeah.
Why don't you read from this book? Then we
Okay.
can talk about it, and then I can read from Kempo's book, and we
That
can
sounds
add
good.
that into the conversation.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Is that
Yeah,
all right?
that's good. Yeah. So we're on. Are we on 10 or do we finish 10?
We finished 10.
I thought so. Yeah. Okay. 11. Some say view means the true nature of phenomena, emptiness, the Mahamudra, while conduct means being free from performing good actions and avoiding bad actions. But this tradition states that conduct is the precious correct conduct of performance and avoidance.
So does that mean that it's not the view? I don't understand that.
Well, I was just reading about this recently in Kempo Sultram's commentary, and it was saying that Jigten Sumgon taught that when you realize Mahamudra, you naturally have perfect conduct. And he said that when you realize emptiness, cause and effect don't go in a way, but cause and effect arise as emptiness, or emptiness arises as cause and effect. So that's why Padmasambhava has that famous saying, my view is as high as the sky, but my attention to conduct is as fine as barley flour.
Okay. So here it's saying, so the qualifying thing, I think, is the last sentence where it says, but this tradition states that conduct is the precious correct conduct of performance and avoidance. So in other words, knowing what to avoid to remain, in a pure state of mind or whatever, behavior or whatever.
Avoid the 10 non-virtues and practice the 10 virtues kind of thing.
Yes. So so I'm going to read what Kempo Samdup has said here. It's about a page.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's brief. It's not bad.
It says conduct free from accepting and rejecting is asserted to be disciplined conduct. If one's view is as high as the sky, one's conduct is also linked to it. and there is no negative drivel on the evil views of demons. For there to be no separation between view and conduct, a subtle conduct in regard to cause and effect is necessary. The Gyagarbha Tantra says, conduct not endowed with view, and view not endowed with conduct, both of these are demons that violate the samaya of secret mantra and cause birth as a hell being in the hell of incessant pain. As thus taught, practice all virtues, large and small, without rejecting any, and reject all non-virtues, large and small, from the beginning, without accepting any. Possessing such a view and conduct, and the ultimate disciplined conduct that is free from accepting and rejecting, means attachment is not taken up, and anger is not rejected. So there's an asterisk that says, this is the talking about ultimate conduct. Since there is no anger, there is nothing to reject or abandon. Therefore, Jigten Sumgon said, conduct free from accepting and rejecting is body and speech without attachment or anger. If understanding is confused, one wanders in samsara. So, in brief, not being attached to the Dharma practice of the path of the three trainings of discipline, concentration, and wisdom, and not having aversion towards non-virtues that arise from attachment and anger, is conduct free from accepting and rejecting. So now there's another footnote that says, note that this is a second way that Khenpo Samdup explains conduct free from accepting and rejecting. Number one should practice without adopting any non-virtue and without discarding any virtue. And then number two, one should practice without attachment to the practice and without aversion towards non-virtues. And the last bit says, and then seeing someone who is not a proponent of this Dharma, one gives rise to anger due to pride. The experience of suffering follows. If one conquers pride and haughtiness, it is excellent. Thus it is taught that the conduct and actions without ego clinging's attachment towards oneself and aversion towards others, which is conduct free from the accepting and rejecting, is supreme.
I think at the state of high realization like that, that virtue is natural. Like you don't have to force yourself to be virtuous and force yourself not to be non-virtuous, you know? It's the realization is so great, you naturally do that.
Well, I agree. And the conversation we've been having in the Samadhi Sutra group, you know, this was a point that came up, you know, that you reach this this level of clarity, this level of purity, and it's beyond stain by virtue of its nature.
Mm-hmm.
However, you know, we being ordinary human beings, we can apprehend what's being discussed here. We can have experience with it, but we may not be perfectly absorbed in it or something like that.
And we have to apply effort.
What's that?
We have to apply effort.
We have to apply some effort. And I think that we have to be, you know, we have to evaluate ourselves, and we have to, it's a process of, it's not like flipping a switch. I don't think it's like flipping a switch. I think that there is a gnosis that happens in the process of becoming awakened that is like flipping a switch, but we're not stable in it. We kind of go back to the old way, you know, but it becomes less frequent that we go back to the old way, and it's less severe when we go back to the old way. And because of our practice and our teaching and the view and all the other things, we're able to correct ourselves. It's like an autopilot in some respect. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think it's gradual. I think we gradually, you gradually go back and forth a little bit on the way and keep making progress, keep making progress. I think at a certain point, it would be like flipping a switch, and that would be at total awakening itself. I think when you go from the final subtle delusions on the 10th bhumi and to enlightenment, I think that's pretty incredible, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, we know that from some of the scripture,
That's
but
what I mean. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
I'm not
Uh,
talking from experience.
Yeah. Well, it's true, and whether there is a final switch that you switch, and is that your death? Is that when, you no longer have an intelligence to be the one that contaminates? Because it's the intelligence, it's the physical body that contaminates. Without that, you're pure spirit.
I think you could have full enlightenment in your body.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So for me, anyway, it's been a gradual process. And, I wouldn't want to discourage anybody from engaging in their process, however they see it, however they experience it. Or do you think that there's one way to experience enlightenment or awakening, Mahamudra, or do you
Well,
or do you
the
think
Buddha,
it's
like I said,
relative?
the Buddha taught 84,000 doors to Dharma. So 84,000 is just a random, really big number. So there's lots of ways.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that too. Okay, do you have any other thought about this?
No.
All right, you want to read the next one then, please?
Yes. 12. Some say ultimate Mahamudra and correct conduct are contraries, but this tradition states that Mahamudra and correct conduct are the one Lord, the unsurpassable special Dharma. That sounds good. That kind of reiterates what we were just talking about. That conduct and view ultimately, when there's less space between them, and ultimately they're the same thing.
Yeah, my note here was liberated conduct. You know that, and here the phrase that it uses is correct conduct are the one Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So the conduct being the Lord, not talking about a particular person, not even
Mm-hmm.
talking about the Buddha, and this, but just this idea of liberated conduct, of correct conduct, is the Lord.
Yeah,
So
Mahamudra and correct conduct are the one Lord.
yeah, so the unsurpassable special Dharma. So my second note here was the what, the why, and the how. You know, understanding. The intellect is the activity of thoughts. So that's what we need to be able to. So there's a conduct of the thoughts. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, sure. That's part of the 10 virtues. I think four of them are thought:
Right.
three body, three speech, and four thought.
Very good. Yes, you're right. That's right. So when we catch ourselves erring by saying the wrong things, we have to immediately stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's one of the points that is not recognized right away. In the Samadhi Raja, it comes out, that there is this cessation, this stopping,
Mhm.
just recognizing you made a mistake and no need to apologize, no need to draw it out. You just stop, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then you practice stopping, remaining stopping and so on.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
and that kind of becomes habituated.
Hmm.
And the fewer things that you engage in, the fewer things that you have to stop, the simpler you become, the more pure you become.
Yeah, it's good to be free of a lot of distraction on the path, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff's still around us, but we're
Hmm.
not influenced by it.
Hmm.
And maybe
Don't
to
get
some,
absorbed in it.
what's that?
Don't get absorbed in it. You
And
know,
maybe and maybe
uh,
to some degree we influence others or other situations. Do you think that?
yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. You want to read from the
You
Kempa
want to
Sangha
read from Kemba? Okay.
if you like? Yeah.
Yeah. This is a short one. So it says number 12, view, meditation, and conduct. The three are not different, but one. To meditate on any realization of the view is meditation, and it is sustained by conduct. In excuse me, let me start that. I think I didn't read that right. To meditate on any realization of the view is meditation, and it is sustained by conduct in accord with that meditation. And so these three, view, meditation, and conduct, are not different but one. Jigten Sumgon said, I am a yogi who realizes view, meditation, and conduct, the three as one.
Mm.
Thus, even though these three are temporarily different aspects, their ultimate essence is the same. But even though a view free from extremes might be accepted, if the meditation does not transcend subject and object, and conduct comes under the power of attachment and aversion, the good fortune of complete enlightenment will be very distant.
I think that's interesting about subject and object because the normal sense is like I'm sitting here and the walls and the stuff on the walls are all these objects that are separately there. But actually, that's all the mind. It's all mind. And there's no duality, really. It just seems that way.
Yeah. And I think that, what is defining the, what is pure, how do you say it here? Is defining what that oneness is, of the view, the meditation, and the conduct. So the view is kind of like the ground in this case. The
Hmm.
meditation is the pathway that we're using to be able to
Hmm.
stabilize that, to recognize that. And the conduct is what results because what we do afterwards, how we take that realization with us, is as important as the view itself or as the path. So,
Sure. If our conduct is bad, we're not going to be able to uphold the view.
right.
If the view is bad, we're not going to be able to uphold conduct.
So it kind of helps us to look at what might be hypocrisy, that we have or something like that. Many times in the conversations that go on around us, there seems to be so much hypocrisy because they say, "Oh, this is what it is to be pure. This is what it is to be a good person." But meanwhile, they set up they people rationalize the activities of rich people or government or whatever, politicians or
Right.
sports
Mhm.
people. They make
Mhm.
rationalizations. Well, they're different. They can do that.
Yeah.
But I
I,
don't have to do it. But yet
Hypocrisy
I'm allowing it to happen in some way.
I expect hypocrisy from them, because that's how they roll. Especially who's the administration now. I don't expect truth, love, and peace from them.
So how do you control it? Do you shut it off, or do you take it in, but you won't allow yourself to chase the thoughts that come as a result?
I follow Kenshin's advice. He told me check I do maybe do a little more than this, but he said check the news feed on your internet in the morning for 20 minutes and in the evening for 20 minutes, just to have an idea what's going on, and otherwise forget about it. So I don't check my news feed that much anymore. I used to be constantly checking it. I don't check it like that now. Um, I tune in a little bit just to see what's going on. I try not to arouse anger or anything like that. And I pray for the people, Christy Nome, I pray for, very devious, but I pray for them. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do the same thing. I check it in the morning, and slowly I've been checking it less and less during the day. Um, but I also at some point I think I'm going to be able to put it down altogether.
Mm. I don't think I could put it down altogether because my curiosity would get the best of me.
Well, that's what keeps us impure. That's
If I was in retreat, I would put it down completely.
Say that again.
If I was in retreat, I would put it down completely. Yeah.
Well, I think whatever excuse we use is some kind of a rationalization, but I'd like to be at that point when I could do that. So, but then the other side of the coin is, that being active as we are, dealing
Hmm.
with other people, you and your job, and you have people calling you, to talk to and everything. You're a mentor and a spiritual friend to many people.
Hmm. Definitely a spiritual friend. Yeah.
And so even if they're not spiritual friends, they're friends. You're helping
Yeah.
them to
Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
with their lives and so on like that.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's a noble thing to do. I deem that to be a worthwhile conduct.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
But if we can, so if we can maintain our separation,
Hmm.
got not get attached in one way or the other, aversion or desire, then we're safe.
Yeah.
There's a term that they use. One second here. It
Okay.
says the level of freedom from corruption. That in Samadhi, in the King of Samadhi, that there's this, in the King of Samadhi, that level is free
Hmm.
from corruption.
Hmm.
So what that means is it can be in the midst of whatever misbehavior that is,
Mm.
reading, discussing, whatever, but it can't be corrupted.
Hmm.
You're not
Yeah.
able to corrupt it when you attain that King of Samadhi. When you're in the King of Samadhi, you're beyond you're in the freedom that is beyond corruption.
I'm assuming that's when meditation and post meditation are the same.
Correct. Yes, and that's the point throughout the whole Samadhi. Is that
Mm.
okay?
Okay. So let's see. We're on 14.
13.
13?
Yes.
Oh. Um, some say view meditation
Wait a
and
minute. Wait
content.
a minute. Oh, I got the wrong book. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, I think it's 14.
Yes, you are correct. I had the wrong book open in front of me.
Ah, okay. Some say there are neither faults nor good qualities in the Mahamudra, but this tradition states that Mahamudra is the very nature of good qualities. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Some of the there's some people claim to be non-dual, right? Like there's these, it's like a kind of a Hindu type thing. They're like non-dual, but they're like, oh, there's no right or wrong. It's all an illusion. That's a big mistake. Yeah. So it's saying here that Mahamudra itself is the very nature of good qualities. It's
Yeah.
like that ultimate realization is ultimate virtue, ultimate benefit. everything like that.
So the good qualities includes critical thinking,
I suppose. Yeah, wisdom. Yeah, wisdom.
includes investigation, includes refinement or purification. Or do you think that is the Mahamudra the point of that flipping the switch and now there's no going back?
I think there's the practice of Mahamudra, and then there's the complete realization of Mahamudra. The complete realization of Mahamudra is enlightenment. It's omniscient. There's no going back. There's no mistakes. There's no nothing to, worry about. But the path of Mahamudra, certainly we've got to investigate and everything.
Yeah, as much as I would like to say that you can stabilize it, I know that in myself, it's I haven't been able to stabilize it, beyond some period of time.
Oh, okay.
So, what Kempo says here. So we're on 14, right?
14, yes.
Yeah. It says Mahamudra is the epitome of all enlightened qualities. Of all the qualities of enlightenment, there are none which are incomplete in Mahamudra. So, of all the qualities of enlightenment, there are none which are incomplete in Mahamudra. The Vajrapranjara Tantra says, there is no enlightenment and no sentient being which is other than precious mind.
Mm.
So the precious mind being what? An epithet for Mahamudra, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I was doing Vajrasattva today, right? And I was visualizing that all beings, little ones, big ones, medium sized ones, all around the neighborhood, the planet, the whatever, the universe, we're all Vajrasattva, right? And I was thinking, this is how the Buddhas see it. They see Buddhahood everywhere. But the sentient beings being confused don't see the Buddhahood, they see the separation, you know.
And they don't see the Buddha quality at all. I think that in the awakened nature, we can see both sides, but we see it all as an image or as a display of what we would call the absolute of the Mahamudra.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point, of being able to see both sides and see them as the same.
It's kind of like the person who's sleeping and dreaming and you're in the room with them. If you're like, say you're clairvoyant, you can see their dream, but you also see that really they're in this room and they're not in a jungle or on a cliff or anything. They're in this nice room. You see that, but they don't see it. All they see is their dream. They're on a cliff or something.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see something. There was something else he had written here.
Okay.
The condensed perfection of wisdom, Sutra says, the five paramitas, and also the qualities of enlightenment there are, arise from the paramita of wisdom. I'll say that again. The five paramitas, and also all the qualities of enlightenment there are, arise from the paramita of wisdom.
Yeah.
And again, wisdom to me is seeing is recognizing the non-dual,
Hmm.
but at the same time knowing that non-dual is a result of the path, and the path is a dualistic path.
Yeah, when I think of the wisdoms, I think of the five Buddha family wisdoms, and one of them is discriminative wisdom in the Amitabha family,
Right,
and it's that ability to distinguish everything.
right,
You're not like in a, blah, just shocked. You're
right,
like able to distinguish everything.
right.
Yeah.
And I think that I've heard it said in the Poa teachings that the reason why we visualize Amitabha, who is the embodiment of the wisdom of discriminative wisdom, like you said, is because he's the most accessible. That and the most powerful in terms of recognizing the other ones, because the other ones tend to be a little bit more abstract than the awareness wisdom.
Mm.
So we go for Amitabha first. That leads to the others as we become more adept at it, as we do it more and more over and over again, because we're not just doing it one time. It becomes a part of our practice routine and so on like that. And it leads to the other deities. So there might be a point in your practice career, so to speak, say that you're visualizing Ascobia to be on your crown or Ratnasambhava to be on your crown. It doesn't have to be Amitabha. It depends where you are in your development.
Yeah, he's the most accessible. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard that before?
I know that he's the most accessible. I hadn't heard it in that context, but that's interesting, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see why not. You could have Akshobhya or Vajrasattva or,
Mm-hmm.
different deities up there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your level of realization. Yeah.
Yeah, I always have to ground myself in the understanding that this is written by humans for humans.
Written by realized beings for humans.
Okay, well, they're humans though, right?
Realized humans, yeah.
Yeah, they're realized humans, but they're
Yeah.
humans.
Hmm.
Just, and that's the point. I think that's an important point that because without that realization, then we jump to the point of a supreme being, that these things appeared, magically through lightning in the sky or whatever you want to say to to sensationalize the appearance of these scriptures and so on.
Hmm.
They came from realized beings who realize, I think, the simplicity of what it is to be a human, to be a complete human being. We complicate it. What do you think of that?
I think simplicity is good, yeah.
Do you think that human beings have a tendency, even spiritual beings,
Hmm.
who are studying, to be holy and all that kind of stuff, and one of the things that holds them back is they're thinking that they're special, or that there's some
Well,
convoluted.
pride is a major fault in all the aspects of the path.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So looking at things at the simplest point of view, I think is hard to do, to maintain that simplicity,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it's
we all.
possible to over elaborate or overthink things.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think that too?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And do you think that, I guess just by virtue of the way you live and I live more and more, is, I'm kind of in a self isolation a large degree, and I'm very happy in that. I'm very
Yeah,
satisfied in that.
same here. I have a lot of solitude, Lance. I do.
Yeah.
I talk on the phone with people, but most of the day I come home and I just got my practice and my studies, and I relax a little bit too. But I've like tuned in to the Dharma, and I'm not like really out there doing a lot of stuff and involved with a lot of things. I'm really not. Just my part-time job, my program. That's it. Maybe a little social activity, not too much.
How important? Where would you put ritual in your lifestyle? And
Well,
and
Jigten,
has it changed?
um, I don't know that it's changed, but I do more practice than I did it sometimes. Jigten Sumgon taught that the rituals are very, very important. Like they're not just random bullshit. They're really key for honing the mind. You know.
Yeah, I look at them like, surgical blades, if you will, that are cutting through, the
Mm.
finer obscurations and so on like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But at some point, they're human inventions, and we need to be able to let let, let
I think
ritual go as
they come
well.
from realized beings also.
What's that?
I think they come from realized beings also. The various ritual aspects. Jigten Sumgon taught they're crucially important all the way through.
Well,
They take us out of our ordinary self into a more sacred modality.
I just finished a book on Ati Yoga.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with that?
I mean, I know a little about Dzogchen, but not a whole lot.
Well, it's the cutting through. Uh,
Hmm. Is that the
uh, what's that?
is that the Trek Chode?
The Trek show. So there's the cutting through, and then there's a crossing over. So the cutting through is the practical, phenomenal side. What we're cutting through is all that phenomenal stuff and all the
Hmm.
stuff that we study and all those things and
Hmm.
so on, including the ritual.
Hmm.
Realizing the value of it
Hmm.
and not being superstitious about it, but realize that it does have a value to be able to keep us on track and keep our one pointed mindfulness together and so on like that. And
Hmm.
that even in the toggle and the crossing over, there is a maintenance to that.
Yeah, I
And
know in the oh, I'm sorry.
like, go ahead.
In the Mahamudra practice, I understand it's important to like not really be involved with mantras and rituals and so forth. That's part of the practice, but they still have their purpose. They're just not utilized at that moment on the path. But yeah, they kind of just like just sit there, and look and just relax and look at the nature of the mind, something like that.
Well, I think in the conduct, where it manifests is in the conduct and the conduct of the brain thinking and everything. The heart is always in that conduct. That's its natural state and so on. But it's through the active sharing, the active teaching, which never goes away. That does not go away. That is an integral part of being the true nature, that we don't rise above that element. So it's kind of like saying, the sun turning itself off. It doesn't need to, it just turns itself off and it doesn't have to help other beings and so on. The Buddhas don't have to help other beings anymore. The very nature of the Buddhas is to help other beings. So personally, I always am, not always, but frequently, cyclically, I have the idea maybe I've done enough, and I just need to relax, and I don't need to, have these meetings and be part of these things and read and so on like that. But then I always come to the point of, well, what am I going to do And how do I keep that pure? And it always comes to, and the thing that you enjoy, that we enjoy, being in a conversation, helping other people and so on. And that becomes the work. That's the body, speech, and mind. Thus, until I attain enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind, etc. That's the action,
Yeah.
bodhicitta.
Conduct. We were just talking about the conduct, Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
So,
let's see.
so wait a minute. So here's another part here that the Kempo talks about.
Okay.
So we were just talking about the paramita of wisdom, the
Mm-hmm.
perfection of wisdom. So in the end, in the beginning, and in the middle is diligence, and there's
Mm.
that, but that diligence is what, together with the other paramitas, all helps to bring to the wisdom to its unfolding.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like the word unfolding. I'm seeing it more and more in different
That is a good
texts and
word.
everything because it's present already. The wisdom is present. The skillful means and all these things, and we're removing the hindrances that are allowing the leaves, if you will, the petals of the flower to unfold and to become recognized.
Mm.
So here's this other point he says.
Okay.
Thus, as is taught, the ground, which is the mind stream's Buddha nature, is empty, is empty essence, free from the extremes of elaboration, and its nature is luminous, like the sun and light. The ground of Mahamudra contains all qualities, lacking none. So the light, it says, like the sun and light. And then there's a footnote that says, just as the sun has all the qualities of light, even when it cannot be seen behind clouds that obscure it, the ground that is the Buddha nature, in terms of ground path and fruition, contains all the enlightened qualities. So even though we don't see the light directly, it still
It's
maintains,
there. Yeah, it's
it's
still
still
there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
I
have to
think,
brush the clouds away.
yeah, I remember there was an analogy that years ago somebody said, even though you're in a house and you've got windows and so on, and the sun is somewhere in the sky, but you can't directly see the sun, that radiance of the sun comes in and fills the room with light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, ready for 15?
Yes, sir.
All right. Some say good qualities do not arise in meditation, but in post meditation. But this tradition states that all good qualities arise in meditation.
So
That's
it's
pretty
make
self explanatory.
what's that?
It seems pretty self explanatory. He's
So it's
saying that,
making
yeah, and I think the post meditation, any good qualities you have in post meditation are derived from what you realized in meditation.
it sees it as the same.
Well, it becomes the same at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even before it becomes like totally realized, like you might have some good qualities in post meditation, but they came from the meditation that you did.
The realization of them, the recognition of them.
Hmm.
Let me see this.
Yeah, they're not just going to pop up in post meditation out of the blue.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think what you say is correct. But this tradition states that all good qualities arise in meditation. It's it, so it's not making a distinction between post meditation here, in this sentence, but in the prior sentence it does. It says, some say good qualities do not arise in meditation, but then in post meditation. So now it's saying that there's two. And
Mm,
so this is saying that all good qualities arise in meditation, in that before the post meditation, on the
mm,
cushion, so to speak. But
yeah.
then it becomes realized in the conduct um, in the post meditation.
Yeah, I think the post meditation is derivative from the meditation.
And I think that's the awakened quality of the true nature. You know, it's the embodiment of that. We're living that. We begin to live that.
Yeah, yeah. And they do, like you said, they do at one point become the same thing at realization.
Right. You know, and it's a process to stabilize that. You know, there's a work at this. You know, there's work at being a bodhisattva. You know, so the question becomes, is there work at being a Buddha? Or that once you're a Buddha, you know, it's everlasting.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you're a Buddha, it's just sealed. You know, it's not, you can't lose it. But they do say though that the Buddhas are still operating within cause and effect.
Yeah. And the Buddha may recognize what they are doing in that cause and effect relationship, in that karmic relationship, but they're not affected by it. They're not limited by it.
Right, right.
And I think it's a you know, at this, from my point of view, it seems that it needs to be developed. It needs to be worked out. It has to be cultivated. It has to be refined, and it has to be purified.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so now the next one, please.
Okay. Some say that all good qualities can arise even without their causes being created, but this tradition states that nothing will arise without its cause being created first.
Yeah, the understood thoughts are more important now. You know, that everything comes from a thought.
Yeah.
That was
And nothing
something.
arises without a cause.
What's that?
Nothing arises without a cause, he's saying, even for Buddhas. You know, nothing arises without a cause. That makes me think of how, you know, they have dark aeons where the Buddhas don't appear. It's not because the Buddhas are mean spirited and won't appear. It's because they know that no matter what they did and said, people would screw it up, you know? Like the times are so dark.
Well, I think it's an interesting way to explain it.
They're still, I understand, I've asked lamas about this. They're still active. They're just not overtly teaching the Dharma, but they're still active as bodhisattvas and Buddhas. You know, they're still doing things to benefit beings, but they don't have like a quote unquote Buddhism with all the knowledge and wisdom and path and everything, but they're still helping them as best they can, you know.
Well, to me, I understand what you said, and I appreciate the virtue of that. But at the same time, Buddhas, by our definition, are non-dual. So
Mm-hmm.
for us to try and conceptualize what the Buddhas are becomes
I was just going by the teaching. I was just saying what I read.
okay, yeah, and I appreciate that, and it gets us to where we are, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good place. But there's a point where that all that knowledge, all that vicarious experience of, this one said that and that one said this, all that has to be offered as manna to as food to be able to feed the fire of knowledge. I mean, I always seem to come back to that. No matter what we think it is, and no matter who said it, it still is, maybe it's because I haven't experienced it, I look at it that way. Because, have I experienced non duality? I think I've had, you know, glimpses of it. How stable it's been is questionable and so on like that. But at those points, there were no reference points. It wasn't like being a human being anymore. It was beyond being a human being.
Of course,
There was no identity. There was nothing.
it greatly transcends the ordinary level of being. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, number 17. Some say that on realizing emptiness, the process of cause and result ceases and one reaches the level of cessation. But this tradition states that when emptiness is realized, emptiness arises as cause and result. I was talking about that earlier because I just read about it recently in the other book. Because emptiness, the funny thing about cause and effect, we tend to think of things as real, like there's a ball and it rolls down the hill, I mean, in a certain way of looking at it, there's no ball and there's no hill and there's no ball rolling down the hill. And yet we see the ball rolling down the hill. Time passes, the ball's in a different place, and it's a different place, it's a different place. But emptiness means that you can't find a definite reference point for that. Like if I'm looking at it and a squirrel's looking at it, we both see it in different ways. But which is the true way? I tend to think, oh, the way I see it is the true way. That's just me looking at it. Squirrel's looking at it, the bug is looking at it, the bird is looking at it, and they all see it in a different way. And all those ways are true, relatively.
It says when emptiness is realized, emptiness arises as cause and result. So, cause is that thought of emptiness. Then result is the result of emptiness, the activity of emptiness. So there's emptiness as the cause, emptiness as the karma, as the action, and emptiness as the result.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a really subtle way. Let's see what Kempo Samdop has to say about that.
Oh, okay.
If emptiness is realized, it arises as cause and effect. So the arises has a footnote. Kempo Samdop explains that this means that someone who realizes emptiness also understands and acts according to cause and effect. Someone who realizes emptiness also understands and acts according to cause and effect.
Yeah.
So,
Cause and effect are relative truth, but emptiness is ultimate truth. But they don't contradict each other. It's not like you get emptiness and get rid of cause and effect. Emptiness simply recognizes the full purport of the cause and effect.
so is that like the source recognizing its display?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Due to the power of realizing the emptiness of ultimate reality, due to the power of realizing the emptiness of ultimate reality, one understands that all the phenomena of conventional relative reality are causes and effects. Now that makes sense to me,
Mm-hmm.
which is their natural disposition. Jetson Milarepa said to Gampopa, even though I have no expectation of rising up to Buddhahood, if I do not interrupt the practice of positive qualities, I didn't say that right. Let me do it again.
Yep.
Even though I have no expectation of rising up to Buddhahood, I do not interrupt the practice of positive qualities. Even though I am not concerned about going down to the lower realms, refrain from the smallest misdeeds.
Yeah, that pertains to the other verses we were looking at about conduct in relation to realization.
Even though we recognize that it's all empty, that there's all
Mm-hmm.
emptiness, we
Mm-hmm.
still abide by the phenomenal nature that we're in the midst of.
Because cause and effect is the display of emptiness.
Right,
Like some people might think emptiness is a thing by itself, but that
right,
would be a thing. That would be a thing. That would be something. It would be
right.
like, oh, it's just this blank emptiness. It's just this thing. Actually, no, all cause and effect is empty because if my hand is here and I move it here, the hand is no longer here and the hand that's here is no longer there. You know, it's like it's always moving, it's always slipping away, it's always changing. The impermanence, I think, is kind of an indicator of that flow of cause and effect.
And this is part of the human condition is to try and qualify that, rather than abiding in the emptiness, rather than realizing and abiding in that emptiness.
But when you do abide in the emptiness, you still see the cause and effects happening.
Yes, but as a realized being,
Yeah, yeah.
as a realized being, yes.
You see them thoroughly and you understand all their what caused them. Like the
Yes,
Buddha, they said the Buddha could look at a peacock's tail and know every cause that caused every little spot of color on the peacock's tail.
right, right. And that's very difficult to explain to someone who considers themselves to be an ordinary rational being.
Meditation experience helps understand things like that.
Yeah, and that's why I think, the academics really should go alongside the practices,
Oh, I agree fully.
the,
Yeah.
the workshop, and I think that's one of the problems with Zoom, is it's more difficult to be able to establish that kind of ritual or that kind of manifestation where we can be having a talk, but then at the same time we can take a few minutes and share a meditation together.
I do one Zoom group that does meditations.
Yeah,
Actually, two, because the one on Saturday morning out of Wisconsin, they usually do some meditation, but I'm sometimes I attend that and sometimes I don't because of the timing on Saturday if I'm doing something or not. But the month I belong to a book club Monday night, and it's originally started by Annie Somo, Sister Somo, but it's basically led by a guy in California. and there's about maybe 10 people regularly show up, and we do a 15-minute meditation at the beginning. Then we do book club for maybe an hour, and then we do 15 minutes at the end of more meditation. And it's nice. It's a nice balance.
How long is the whole thing? An hour and a half?
Hour and a half, yeah.
Well, that's good. And obviously, are the people, the participants, are they longtime practitioners? Would you say?
I would say yes. Most, yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things, because from time to time I'll have meditations with people on Sunday, or we'll do a practice or something like that, and then usually following that, I won't ask them too much about it. But the next time we meet, I'll ask
Mhm.
them, well, how did you feel about that? And more often than not, they just kind of feel like they were, you know, left out in some strange place that they couldn't connect with. And
Yeah,
um, but for myself, I had a very good experience. I had a profound experience and so on. And so I would hope that in person that there's less of a barrier or whatever, to be able to help people to find that for what might be the first time or second or third time or something. But
yeah,
once experienced people have it, it's much easier for them. They don't rely on the other person as much as in the beginning you need to.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation where you were with a teacher or whatever, and you felt yourself being uplifted by their meditation while you were sharing a meditation,
I
and then
did
you,
at
you
your house. At
what's
your
that?
house, there was a llama there. I can't remember which llama it was. He might have been Glugpa or something, but he was kind of like a high llama. And I had an interview with him, and he suggested meditating, and so I sat there and meditated with him, and it was very blissful and so forth. And I felt like there was some effect that he was having on my meditation.
Yeah, I've had it a couple different times with a couple different lamas, and one of them was Kempo Gochi Choka. Choki Gochi.
Bocha.
Yes.
Yeah,
You remember him?
I do. Yeah, yeah. Great guy.
Yeah. And it was early in my career, of Dharma study. And we were up here in my room, and I asked him, if we could do a meditation together. And he said, sure, and I just followed his instructions and everything. And it was fairly long, in terms of what I was used to. But I just felt, when I started feel like I was slipping out of meditation, or I was coming into I was recognizing what I was doing. I just felt, I kind of focused on him for a moment, and then I went into this period again of non-duality, of what I would call pure meditation.
Yeah, it's good.
And with Drupon too, and Drupon in a much more practical way of being of being in the post meditation. And Lama Jersam's a lot like that. I think Lama Jersam has a very strong post meditation.
Mm.
You
Yeah, he
know,
does a lot of retreat and so forth.
yeah. But I've gotten to spend a lot of time with him over the years. Being here at the house and everything, and he really is the embodiment of that peacefulness. He is like that fool on the hill. If you don't interrupt him, he's in meditation. But if you interrupt, he responds right away, and deals with whatever it is, and then goes back to his meditation. He really is like that.
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Okay. You want to go to the next one then?
Yeah.
I think we were on 18.
Some say that the paths of methods and so on are no longer necessary after attaining realization, but this tradition states that the paths of methods and so on are very necessary, even for those who have realization. It's
Yeah.
like the Buddha, Shakyamuni. He often, when he wasn't teaching, he was practicing meditation and so forth. He didn't like stop doing the method just because he was enlightened. He like sustained it.
Well, yeah, it was like breathing. It was part of who he was, and I think that's what we've been talking about in the examples of Drupan and Kempo Choki Gocha and Lama Jersum are examples of that. And I'm sure Gotcha Rinpoche. I haven't been with him that much in a residential kind of an environment, where to see how he behaves in between teaching and so on. But I imagine it's like that.
Mm.
But yeah, and I asked Kenshin was at my house one time, and you were probably there. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked him, does the Buddha continue to meditate? And in a convoluted way, he said what you said. He didn't have a straight answer, but but that's excuse me, that's what he was trying to say.
Mm.
Okay, you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, we're almost done this section.
Yeah.
19. Some say that in order to enhance realization, one must perform the various Vijjavrata conducts, such as living in charnel grounds while wearing a yogin's attire. But this tradition states that to deeply cherish and beautify oneself with the training of correct conduct is the especially superior special conduct of wisdom. That makes sense. You know.
Yeah, so this is, kind of qualifying a ritual,
Mm-hmm.
the charnel ground rituals, and
Mm-hmm.
saying that, it's nice, but it's more important for the training of correct conduct, special conduct of wisdom,
Yeah.
regardless of how you get it, I guess, I think would be the point there. You can get it many different ways, but some people attach to, doing
And,
the Gong Chik or whatever. Not the Gong Chik, but the Chud. Is that,
oh, right, right.
is that what you were saying?
No, no. I was thinking about the charnel ground.
Yeah,
Spraying yourself with human ash and wearing a,
yeah,
a dhoti, and you can do that, but you don't have to do that. That's not the most essential quality. The most essential quality is the moral ethics and the conduct.
yes. With the special training of correct conduct, yes. Special conduct of wisdom, yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, but so many people, especially beginners, want to do, the far out practices and so on,
Yeah, yeah.
and and then when they start doing them, then they might get, attached to them, and they want to do more, and then they want to do other ones, and so on. They become the empowerment collectors and the process and the practice collectors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And it's a phase, I think, I certainly went through that, fortunately not very long, but, I thought that was the most important thing to be doing and so on. But
Mm.
I quickly came to, a realization that, you know, no, and because I was fortunate enough to be able to have that same level of samadhi, you know, with different practices and without doing practice, doing practice would get you there, but then you can maintain a level. And when you lose that level, you can go back to the ritual to restore that level again, and it works that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the last section of this chapter, or whatever, or last verse of this section. 20. Some say that ultimate conduct is that of a Busuku meditator, but this tradition states that if a Busuku does not have the three dharmas, his conduct will only be the conduct of the peace of the Shravakas and Prateka Buddhas.
So that buku suku must be another way of saying, a bhikshu or something like that.
No. Busuku is three syllables: bu, su, and ku, and they mean to eat, sleep, and shit. What it's getting at is Mahamudra practitioners sometimes get into utter simplicity where they're not exteriorly like doing anything. They're just kind of sitting there. And that's what he's talking about, taking on the outer appearances of the Busuku meditator, but not really practicing the three dharmas, which I have to look up what he means by three dharmas. Let me look that up. It's in the back.
Okay.
The three dharmas are engaging in correct conduct, aware of the slightest faults, practicing with the understanding that one needs the good qualities of Buddhahood, and benefiting others through the inspiration of immeasurable compassion. So, sounds good. But yeah, those, the exterior qualities are not what's so important.
Right. And there's an activity that is directly derived for that benefit of other beings and so on. It's not just the passive activity of sitting in the charnel ground or wherever, or in the it's the point of between, the way I would describe it, the point between the arhat and the bodhisattva. Because I know there might be a couple different ways to say arhat, but there's the solitary realizer, the pratimoksha that the arhat is striving for. That's the hero, the independent individual enlightenment. Mm-hmm. But the bodhisattva is always engaging in its activities for the benefit of the enlightenment of other beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these things are, the thing about the Gong Chik, I think, is it's very it's pithy. There's a lot to talk about, but
it needs commentary.
What's that?
I think it needs a lot of commentary to understand it.
Well, and the point is, it's taking simple things that are very easy to take for granted, mm-hmm. and be able to give them the depth that we need to understand, because they're these things that we think about are the things that are the obstacles and so on, and we need to purify them. And the only way to purifying is recognizing what causes them, how they manifest, and what the results are. So this kind of discussion, I think, is very good. And I think doing it together with you like this, I think is very fruitful. There's only been a few times when I've done it one-on-one like this, but the groups are good, but this is also good.
Yeah, I mean, two makes a group, and that's all we got, Yeah. I like hearing everyone's point of view, too,
Yeah. But I think sometimes we start to run it into the ground.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to continue on, or you want to call it even for tonight?
We got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to wait and just start fresh with the new chapter? Or?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay.
And, but I think being able to have this good discussion was good, and we weren't limited by time. So I think any of this we should, have that open ended. If we try and squeeze this in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we may lose something in the process.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I'm making a note that we stopped at this point.
Oh, okay.
And today is I don't know what today's date is. The
18th.
18th.
Yeah. 2 weeks would be 25th, 30. I think March 1st or 2nd or something.
Mm. Yeah, it'll be the 4th,
Mm.
March 4th. Okay, so Tashe delay to you, Losar.
Tashi Delek. Yes.
Yes, yes. The fire horse.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good year, I think. Fire
I,
horse year.
I think so. But I think I read one description. It had a cautionary thing. It says, "Don't let the horse run away from you." All right. Well, very good, Pete. Thank you very much. I enjoyed this very much.
Let's
And
do a quick closing prayer.
yes, please.
Through both the innate virtue and the virtue accumulated in the 3 times by myself and all in samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings filling space unleft out realize the co-emergent ultimate reality and attain the final state of non-abidance in existence or peace.
Om. Ah. Om.
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 Ah. Om.
Om.
Om. Ah. Om. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the benefit of all sentient beings. Thank you very much.
All right. See you in 2 weeks.
If not sooner.
Yeah. And we'll see what Curtis and Bernie are up to, too,
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. But I'm glad we're continuing on regardless because